Hi guys, it's Lori. Hey, have you ever dealt with like really pushy people, bully people that bully you, critical people, narcissistic people, that kind of stuff? Have you found that those people have been around you either recently or maybe in the past you've had that experience? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, I'm back. Okay, pardon the mess behind me. I'm kind of hiding out in the storage room to do this. I'll explain later. Anyway, um, so narcissists or mean people in general. Have you run into like mean people? And labels again. So I've been hearing the word narcissist a lot. I use it a lot. It makes me wonder, okay, are there more narcissists in the world than there ever were before? Or are people just showing it more? Or, I mean, we are in a different age, kind of in an age of entitlement, right? At least in the States, probably in the whole free world. I don't know. But how do you deal with somebody like that? So I don't want to focus just on narcissism. Narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, all the cluster B disorders, any personality disorder is really difficult to deal with. Any mental illness is really difficult to deal with if left untreated. Um, but not everybody has a personality disorder. Not everybody has a mental illness. It seems like we go through these periods of time where it's almost, I don't want to say it's cool to have this, but it's almost like everybody has it, right? But what I think that, okay, so put aside personality disorders for a minute because then we're rising to a different level. Um, it's kind of like for a while, and I don't know if this happened everywhere, but around where I am, for a while, a lot of people were saying, claiming to be maybe alcoholics or whatever, and maybe sometimes they still do. And who am I to judge? I don't know, but it just seemed like they were putting that label on themselves, and and until you meet a true blue alcoholic or a addicted person or deal with addiction yourself, it's like whoa, or some people like bipolar was big for a while, and I know it sounds crazy, but people were labeling themselves and others with this. Now it seems to be narcissism, and until you truly meet like somebody with that personality disorder, or somebody that's truly a sociopath or psychopath, or somebody who's suffering from borderline personality disorder, or narcissistic personality disorder, or um, bipolar, or any kind of mental illness, true depression, that kind of thing. Um, it's like, whoa, holy crap, like that's bigger than I thought it was. So that's one of the reasons I have an issue with labels, is because people tend to label everybody, themselves and others. We can't really diagnose, right? Unless you're a medical doctor in that field and you've had that person as your patient, right? So, that being said, I just want to talk about, like, with our soul wounds, how we can kind of tend to, what we do, and I've said it over and over again, is we tend to draw into, um, my dog's freaking out because she can see me on the screen, and she's like, "What's going on?" I'm sitting on her lap. So, yeah, my doggies, they're both on my lap. They're like, "Why are we in the storage room?" Anyhow, we tend to call that to ourselves, which would call situations, people, friendships, relationships to ourselves that'll validate the soul wounds that we have. Especially when we're not aware of them. When we become aware of them, we can say, okay, I see what I'm doing. I'm calling this to myself, and we can kind of change that, right? But especially when you're not aware of them, you tend to do that. And what happens with the relationships is over and over and over, you tend to validate that soul wound by bringing those situations into your life. Like, if you look at her, if you bring a person into your life, and it's mag, if you bring a person into your life that is very controlling, calls you names, um, calls you crazy, calls you stupid. Those were my big things when I was younger. And I had reasons for those. Those were part of a soul wound. And it validates that. It's like, well, okay, I already felt this. And it's on a soul level. It's on a subconscious level. So you're not saying in your head, hey, I deserve this. But this person coming in validates it for you. And it doesn't have to be a relationship. It could be a friendship. Well, friendship is a relationship, but it could be like a situation. It could be like a landlord tenant. It could be a boss, a co-worker, whatever. It could be all kinds of different situations. That's why, when all this talk about narcissists and empaths, and what they're saying is somebody who feels for other people so deeply that they can empathize with things that they've never experienced themselves, tend to draw to themselves somebody who is narcissistic, right? Who will take advantage of that. So let's just talk about mean people in general. I want to cover two things specifically today because there's all kinds of mean people out there. But narcissism itself, not necessarily rising to the level of the personality disorder, but narcissism itself, I think everybody has a touch of it or has the potential to be narcissistic at times in different situations, right? You gotta, I mean, maybe not, but arrogance or, that kind of thing. I remember when I was younger, and maybe no, maybe who knows, maybe now even I wouldn't know. I haven't dated or even desired to date in so long, but I always was attracted to not the real arrogant prick in the room, but confidence, I guess. And I would mix up in my own wounded nature. I would mix up arrogance and mistake it for confidence, and I always ended up with the real arrogant jerk, right? But it was attractive to me. Like, confidence is attractive to me. So I did have my share of relationships with narcissistic people. And I think a lot of times, and again, I'm not rising to the level of personality disorder, because a personality disorder is a personality disorder. Think about it. Medicine doesn't fix that, okay? The person has to want to fix that. Anyhow, I just got off track. So what that does is it allows those soul wounds to be validated and then reaffirmed, and it's this big long cycle. So if you can work on you and realize that, okay, is this like an old soul wound? Is this like an old, even if it's an emotional wound, whatever, then you're halfway there, okay? And then another kind of personality that's really difficult to deal with, and again, these are only two, there's many more, is the person with a critical spirit. I'm not just talking about a good friend, because in my opinion, a good friend's going to tell you what's up, even if you're wrong. They're going to tell you with compassion, and their motive is love, okay? But there are some people who have a critical spirit. A lot of times they have both. They're arrogant people, they're narcissistic people, and they have a critical spirit. Holy baloney. That is, what a combination. Again, if you find these people over and over and over in your life, it could be your soul wound. It could be a part of yourself that's mirroring. I don't know. It depends on your personal situation. But a lot of times, it's an indicator to look inside. Other times, it's your soul wounds. That's why working with a one-on-one is really important sometimes if you keep finding these cycles. And I really enjoy that. I really enjoy working with someone when they get to the realization, they have the epiphany that, okay, this is what it is, and then I literally get to watch their whole life change, and it really brings me joy. But I just want to go over real quick a couple things to do in these situations. So first and foremost, if you have someone in your life with a critical spirit, and what I mean by that is they don't, like I said, they don't just give you a heads up or be upfront with you and honest if you're wrong or if you're making a mistake, and they're telling you out of love. It comes across as judgmental and critical, and they criticize every little thing about you. A lot of people that are like this are also the same people that every time you stop talking about something, they bring it back to them. You could be talking about, what a great day you had, and they'll be, all of a sudden they had this wonderful day, that kind of person. But they also have a way, usually with a smile, of critiquing you in such a way that you go, oh yeah, I am kind of dumb. I've had this happen. Somebody I thought was a really, really good friend, and offers to help, I'll have my whole life falling apart. And she may not say it, although she said some really horrific things to me. But sometimes it's just like that attitude, like, there you go again. You just can't get it right, can you? You just keep doing foolish things, But she doesn't say it outright. She says things with like that tone. And then, here, I'll help you. Oh, you poor little pathetic thing. Well, I don't want help from someone like that. Because you're making me feel horrible at the same time, you know? So if somebody makes you feel horrible, they probably have a critical spirit. Or they could be a narcissist. Or both, right? So what do you do when you have these encounters? Okay, so if at all possible, don't engage. Don't give any energy to it. Don't give it any thought. Don't engage at all. Find a way out of it, you know? If it's a friend, then it's not really a friend. Friends don't make you feel bad on purpose, right? So don't engage at all, if at all possible. If you start dating somebody, they turn out like this, break it off. If you're in a situation where you cannot just not engage, maybe you can disengage, like say it's your husband or wife, boss, the other parent of a child, maybe you're separated and that other parent is like that. You have to deal with these people. Okay, what do? You can disengage energetically, so you still have to engage with them, but disengage energetically. Don't allow it to steal your energy. Don't take things personally. Don't be offended, right? Know who they are, accept it, and deal with it accordingly. So disengage, cut the cords, okay? Their behavior is not a reflection of you, okay? Number 2, no, you cannot change this person. I don't care how close you are to them. I don't care if it's your parent, child, whatever. You can't change them. You can't love somebody enough to stop being narcissistic. And you can't, one thing I hear from a lot of people, well, if I'm just good enough, maybe they'll see just how good you can be and they'll be that way too. Sometimes, hey, sometimes that works, right? Because people do tend to change with the person that they're with. But I'm talking about like somebody who's, most people who have a critical spirit or who are narcissistic they don't want to change. They don't think there's anything wrong with them. Some people will, which brings me to number 3. Know what you're willing to accept and what you're unwilling to accept. Know what you're willing to deal with and what you're not willing to deal with. If you are happy with this arrogant, narcissistic, critical person, and you know like how to deal with them, and you're happy, then stay with them. But don't let them steal your soul. And same thing, that usually goes for, like a spouse or even a parent-child relationship. If you know it, you're clear on it, you know yourself, and you're willing to, okay, this is acceptable, this isn't, set your boundaries, stick by your boundaries. Don't let them steal your soul, and stick it out. If you're happy, I mean, who's to say? Who's to judge you, right? I think I'm on number 4. If you're stuck in a situation where you must engage, do your best to learn how to communicate with that person. How do they communicate? And then do that. I remember when I was married, and when I chose to stay, so I wasn't like, oh, I'm miserable, I can't get out of this. I was deeply, madly, truly in love with a very arrogant person. Narcissistic person. I wouldn't say he rises to the level of MPD, but he was very arrogant. And I was madly, truly, deeply in love with him. And he needed his ego stroked all the time. That was, you know what? That comes from his own wounds. And I gladly did it because I wasn't faking. I meant everything I said. But he just needed to hear it a lot. And it worked. So learn. And you know what? If you're doing it and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to vomit, don't do it. It's got to be authentic, right? At that time, for me, it was acceptable. I was fine with it. So why not, right? But do know if somebody rises to the level of NPD, they will hurt you. Like, they don't care about you, okay? I'm not saying somebody with NPD can't care about anybody. But chances are, once there's nothing left in it for them, they're gone. Same thing with someone, I kind of feel like the critical spirit and narcissism kind of go together. And I often wonder, not everybody, I mean, some people are just plain out a-holes, right? But I do believe that in some situations, it is an actual spirit that they don't know it, but they are actually following a spirit. So, if you have to, and you want the best situation, then know their language and speak it, and that'll help you a lot. Again, somebody who's truly like over the edge and sick, like it made me think of one person. I did everything. I did everything in my power to get along. I kept my mouth shut when I would have normally spoke up. I did not allow her to use me as a doormat, but I didn't engage in any kind of arguments or anything like that. I refused to engage in the games that she plays, although she continued to try. She's lied about me. She has started rumors about me, crazy, outrageous rumors, just ridiculous stuff. Um, I have never called her any names. I've never dissed her. I don't talk about her behind her back. Nothing like that. I don't talk about her in front of her. I don't talk about her behind her back. But and it outrages her. It makes her even more angry because I refuse to play, right? So people like that, there's no getting along with them. There isn't. You could get along. I'm not saying don't be amicable if you are stuck in a situation where you must, be in the same place or whatever. But there's no way to get along with that person. And it's not just me. It's everyone in her life. So I know that it's not just me. But there was a time in my life where I would be like, what did I do? And I would try everything. I'd go out of my way. I'd probably buy cards and gifts and beg and plead and I'm so sorry, and that's not me anymore. I won't do that. I know who I am. I know that I'm not perfect. I know that when I make a mistake or if I hurt your feelings or if I step out of line, I'm going to say I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you when I think I'm wrong. If you tell me when you think I'm wrong, I'm going to absorb what you said and listen to you and hear you out, and we'll talk about it. And if I am wrong, I will apologize or whatever. But I'm not playing games. I refuse to do it. I'm not that weak little person anymore. So, anyway, I hope this helps a little bit. Like I said, number one, if you can, completely disengage or never engage or whatever. But if you must, there's just a few little tips, And whatever you do, don't allow anyone, any person in this world, to steal your joy, to steal your relationship with God, or to steal your peace. Okay? Don't ever let that happen. No person in this world is worth that. And you know what? If a good friend loves you, or if a husband or a wife loves you, child loves you, whatever, and they have an illness, that's a different story. But if we're talking not an illness, we're talking about, just everyday relationships, and they purposely hurt you or lie to you or create hardship for you or try to make you feel less than, you might want to see what their definition of love is, right? That being said, okay, and I've said this many times to people, he or she loves you to their capacity, okay? So this is kind of a different subject, but it goes along with what I just said. Sometimes people can love you and they truly love you. And I'm not saying that they're hurting you on purpose, but they love you. But they're just not able to, like, they don't communicate like you. There are certain things within their personality that just really aren't good for you or whatever. Don't, or maybe you love an addict or an alcoholic. You can't love away addiction. You can support them, okay? So don't take it personally. Just know what's acceptable to you and what's unacceptable to you. Sometimes you have to love people at a distance. And I'm not saying that in a cliche way, like you see a lot of people say. Take care of you first. No, nope. I think love with all you got, because you're going to be here one time, and love with all you got. And sometimes you got to give a little bit more. It feels like you're sacrificing. Especially when you love an addict or an alcoholic or somebody who's got a mental illness. My mother was mentally ill. I am dealing with people I love very much who struggle with addiction. And I've just learned that there are certain things that those people are going to do and say in the thralls of their addiction or in the thralls of their illness. And it's not about you. So don't let it hurt you. Don't let anybody steal your soul, okay? All right, guys, I've been talking too long. I will definitely be back in the next video. I hope this helps you. If you need a one-on-one, even one time, or a coaching package, or if you want to just connect with spirit or whatever, if you want to make an appointment, shoot me a comment or an email at passagesgroupinfo@gmail.com. I think that's it. Or LORIR248@gmail.com. Or you can find me on Facebook at, www.facebook.com/graced, GRACED, BY him, HIM 1, Grace by him 1, or facebook.com/higher ground 2. Those are both me. I also have Faith Walk Facebook page, so you can find me there too. But if you need an appointment, like I said, one time only, or a package or whatever, if I can help you in any way, reach out. All right, see you guys soon.